Welcome everybody to another episode of Into the Stratusphere, episode 9, a simple rematch. I'm your girl Cindy G here, and today's episode, this is going to be a pretty special episode because I decided to bring someone along with me just to talk about wrestling, especially this one supposedly pay-per-view, but it was only exclusively on Impact Plus. So to hear with me to help me out what's going on, especially with other topics, we're going to be covering like the news, also quick recap for New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, Victory Road, and also the recap of Impact Wrestling. But before all that, let me go ahead and introduce to you guys. He is from NoDQ.com. He is a simple man and a lifelong fan of what? Wrestling! Ladies and gentlemen, all the way from Toledo, Ohio, say hello to the simple man, Noah Foster. Hey, Noah, how's it going? Welcome to the Stratusphere.
Thank you. Good evening to you out in California, and I'm doing very well. It's a pleasure to talk to you again. I believe we haven't had a discussion since Slammiversary, where you won by the main event. So I look forward to discussing wrestling with you on all fronts and forms and news, and hopefully it reaches out and connects to other people too.
Absolutely, Noah. I mean, you and I, we've been working together, like whether it's from NoDQ.com and then the now defuncted Aftermatch Wrestling, talking about like at the time with WWE and NXT. And plus, we mostly talk about is independent wrestling, but mostly New Japan Pro Wrestling. But now that we're venturing into like different like aspects of wrestling and everything is going on, this year, I know a lot has been changed going on. So yeah. So before we go into all this, so Noah, where can our Bulletcast Nation can follow you?
Apparently, I'm more so known for my wrestling passion on Twitter at nfoster1916, but I'll give you a nice hello and a song for your day on Instagram as well, at nfoster1916. And I've started this venture now coming up on my second year anniversary as a YouTuber at a simple YouTube channel, youtube.com/C, as I've learned, /NoFoster210, where I just do all sorts of things on all things wrestling, podcasts, forums, and reviews on AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling at the forefront, and I recently started Twitch too, and Foster 191625. So there you go.
That's so awesome, Noah. I know that you're getting a lot like experiencing going on, especially like venturing into Twitch as well. Anyway, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram and on my YouTube channel at simply_C_OK. That's SIMPLY_C_OK. And you can find the Bulletcast on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Bulletcast, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel and whichever podcasting platform you're listening to, like Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Anchor FM, and so on and so forth at the Bulletcast, y'all. So with that being said, so let's go ahead and go with the quick Q&A so that way we can get to know you, Noah.
Okay.
So first things first, how did it all started when you joined NoDQ.com?
It's funny. As an introvert and someone who is more so self-conscious of himself as a wrestling fan who felt like he was just alone in this world of pro wrestling fandom, I decided to finally venture out and really look into my passion more with live NXT shows. It started in Columbus, connecting with three fellow boys right here from Ohio, and it turned into a friendship and a podcast. And then just out of nowhere, starting a random conversation after basically inviting a friend with me to go to Royal Oak Theater in Michigan to see NXT Live. I discovered a wonderful individual with a kind heart and spirituality in one of you, three ladies of NoDQ, the fearless one, Caitlin Bella. I know that's not her last name, but I know that's her favorite. I just discussed with her how I was a fan of wrestling and just, some other simple, kind values. Next thing you know, it developed to a friendship. I told her I like working with Excel and PowerPoint, not as much as through Gulag. But, and next thing you know, I just basically shared my simple interests and talents with the team of NoDQ. They appreciated my bracketologies and statistical analysis and creative graphical designs. And next thing you know, it developed into a friendship. And I've been part of Team No DQ since 2017, and I forever will be.
That is very awesome and a very compelling story as well, especially like when you have like a different like aspect of life in general. You just gotta take a risk and just follow along too, especially like with like the different personality traits too. And Noah, like your graphics for like all the prediction leagues you've done since last year and then leading up to this point, it was very outstanding. I know you have a lot of the no DQ fan base, as they call it, the no DQ galaxy, following along with the prediction league, as long as you also like keep track with like the rest of the team no DQ, since you know the staff from nodq.com is like over 15, like crazy. We're here in the bullet cast, it's only just three, myself along with the boss man Philip and Brandon T, you know. So it is kind of like you know branching out in the aspect, Noah, for that.
Yeah, I've now come to see the team has grown to 19 people. I've come to know all of them. You all are really awesome people, and I'm happy to have brought together this No DQ Galaxy Predictions League that I proposed with TJS and Aaron Riff to bring in more people that want to maybe express themselves in some way and have some fun with wrestling. Because predicting wrestling is some of the best friend you can have when it comes to talking about it and enjoying it. So I'm happy to have connected at least, if only one time, with over 109 different people out supporting No DQ Galaxy that have joined the league. And shout out to key players in the top 20, including my best friend from church, Paul Mead, Mark Griff, Ashley Reynolds, the analyst, Michael Wayne, who I might add is still a leader, Con Andrew, TJS, my good friends in ATW, Meg Chiba, Lex, the list goes on and on.
That's incredible too. And now it's like how it changes a lot with the whole fans, this whole like, you know, wrestling coming together as one. So Noah, how does wrestling kind of affected you like back then until now, like since we're now in a COVID era? And like I know at first WWE started with this whole empty arena show, and then with AEW they did the same thing, but then bring in the roster, like you know their own roster, and like Impact Wrestling is Fun Pursuit just only doing solid empty arena show. And that was way before like you know WWE has the Thunderdome and AEW brought back the fans with like like you know in a stricter capacity. So what are your thoughts on the world wrestling it is right now during this pandemic era we're living in?
It's definitely a different presentation and feel. And for a while, I feel like it really hurt us as fans because we felt disconnected, that we weren't able to enjoy it live. But the way that all these companies, AEW, Ring of Honor, NWA, WWE, the NJPW, finally, especially, which is like my number one passion for like a decade, the way that they have used the technology that we've been fortunate enough to have in this day and era to really connect with us as fans, not to mention bring creative, entertaining experiences and different ways to provide wrestling. It's unleashed a new wave, I feel like, of creativity, but also a new wave of support and outreach. And I felt like during this COVID era, it's really shown a different side to the wrestling community, and why some of it might be a bit controversial, a bit outspoken, a bit ranchy. I feel like it brought a lot of positivity too, because now that we literally have no choice but these virtual platforms, it's brought a lot of people together too. I have participated in the Thunderdome. I thought it was pretty fun. I wouldn't do it again though, because joining it is not as easy as you think. And overall, when I look at how they've handled the COVID era, I look at AEW and how Cody looks on to an empty arena, but feels like he's literally reaching out to us all from home, talking to us as fans, treating the product the same way he would do if there was 15,000 people there. And then the organic live crowd vibe using the roster, I thought was very clever. It always made me feel like I was there, really embracing and enjoying a live wrestling experience. And then I feel like it helps wrestling morale when they hear that crowd noise, non-piped, and they actually see the fans in some form. So I thought the Thunderdome was a very ingenious idea. Now NXT is doing a hybrid form of that, where they're bringing in friends and family and certain fans through stricter policies, it seems, as well as the virtual experience to really try and bring everybody together as one. So to answer your question, there may have been a lot of negative to think about during this time, but I also felt like it brought out a lot of positive in it too. And either way, it never stopped my love for professional wrestling. It just allowed me to look at it in a much different way and a wider scope too.
Definitely. I know that, like, what everybody is like having like a clear view of like how wrestling it is now compared to like years ago, since like they're now digging deep into like what is going on within the wrestling business, especially with the wrestling industry too. Like for me, like I know that my eyes were starting to get wide open when I was having like my second thought about WWE since it happened back in April until now. Is that I don't want to like channel in this negative energy, like what I'm seeing, what's going on. So that's why I'm like shying away from WWE and just focus on like what is the good out there in wrestling, like with AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, which now like I'm starting to become a full-fledged fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling since they made the return back in end of April, and not end of April, end of May.
Gosh. End of May, they started the New Japan Cup. They welcomed us back for an empty venue, but you still had that same organic vibe that truly makes us love professional wrestling and NJPW. I felt the most lost without NJPW personally, but AEW definitely kept me going. And while WWE has had a ton of negative backlash to the way it has handled itself during this era, there's been some good pauses with it too, and that's the only thing I've looked at. But when NJPW came back on the air, that was the happiest moment of the COVID era for me. And the way they've handled it, in my opinion, is tremendous. I'm not going to say one company has handled this better than others. Everyone has their own criteria, their own outlook. But the bottom line is this: as long as they are all taking serious precautionary measures in the name of safety and health, that's the number one thing I want to expect from any professional wrestling company I watch, whether I see it or not. And so far, I think everybody has pretty much handled that very well, including independent wrestling shows that have been doing stuff as simple as drive-in car, watch from in a car or from a football field.
That's right, or even out in the beach too. And
Oh,
it's
yeah, right.
and it
Forgot
seems
about the beach.
yeah, and now like recently with AAA Wrestling, they got their show back after taking a break. I know they did start with the Empty Arena show, but then they took a big break for a couple months, and now they brought back We're Doing Drive-Through show, which I know. Shout out to the Rudos podcast. They're going to be definitely covering about their thoughts of AAA wrestling since they're known for watching luchas and also with AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Just wanted to give a quick plug for that too. And like it seems that now like how everybody's getting like a different perspective like with wrestling and how this whole concept is together. I know you had your experience with the with the Thunderdome situation, and I know now they're going into stricter rules because of this craziness that's been going on since they debut. But it's like, yeah, Noah, it's like come to terms, like people are like trying to be very critical and just changing their thoughts and their opinions, like for that too, and especially the way that we're seeing how wrestling it is as of now, and especially knowing the hitting truth too for that.
Again, a lot has come out of the wrestling community during this time. Some good, some bad, but at the end of the day, it's brought the community together in a different way too. And there's a lot of positive that's come out of it. One of them definitely being WrestleJoy, which is one of the happiest moments for me. I know one of the happiest moments for you has been joining the AEW Heels community, because you are now among a community that is just like you as professional wrestling fans too. And again, there's been a lot of good that's come out of this COVID era. And I look forward to what's next during it too. Whether it's some weird alternative technology change, that's up to WWE. I'm sure they'll do that first. Or whether New Japan Pro Wrestling decides to combine more stuff, like we'll talk about soon. But bottom line is this: professional wrestling, it's still very much alive and going.
Absolutely, Noah, and that's how it's bringing everybody much closer. And we're going to see how the future it is for the next couple of months, especially like I know that like we're still in a whirlwind of chaos going on with 2020 and don't know what the future is going to be hold, but all I can say is that we're going to be definitely wait and see for that too.
One day at a time.
Yeah, that's right. So anyway, Noah, so another question to ask you is favorite wrestler of all time?
Jeez. Okay, I gotta go all time. I've been a wrestling fan since 1992, and my mom introduced me to the world of sports entertainment, professional wrestling, whatever you might have called it then, whatever you call it now. If I gotta go all time, not short period, I gotta go with Mr. WrestleMania himself, Shawn Michaels. from Shawn Michaels' early beginnings to when he came back after suffering an incredibly dangerous, career-threatening ending back injury, to finding Christ, to really renewing his spirit and love and passion in professional wrestling, to also the fact now he is helping groom the future through assisting Triple H in co-producing NXT. It's got to be Shawn Michaels for me, for the greatest of all time.
Absolutely. And I know you're going to get a lot of cool points for some of the people like out there in the BCN universe, because, you know, we have some, especially a notable Bay Area personality, and especially here in the Bullet cast, are fans of Shawn Michaels, of course. And he's a very talented guy, too. Don't get me wrong, especially like with a really impressive like resume in the business. And
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and Noah, favorite match of all time.
Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Okay. I look at NWA, I look at New Japan Pro Wrestling, I look at Impact, I look at AEW, I look at all 5 brands of WWE, I look at Ring of Honor, I look at random wrestling forums I've seen on YouTube like Pro Wrestling Eve, MLW, Good Shimmer, Stardom, but I got to go with the one match. If I could see it live, I would want to see it. My favorite wrestling match of all time, and this was tough because I had like 3 of them, but I got to go with Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada at Wrestle Kingdom, because not only did that match break the metrics when it comes to what you would think in a standard professional wrestling match, it defined an era of a multitude of professional wrestlers, not to mention one of the greatest rivalries in professional wrestling history. It's got to be Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada for me, Wrestle Kingdom 11.
Oh yeah, that match was the one of the best match of the year, actually, especially how Kenny and Okada set this whole high caliber to the whole new level that we have not seen for quite a while, and how these two gentlemen put in their all. And I was very blown away with this match too. Like, and that's where a lot of the people here in this western side of the country is like slowly getting into New Japan Pro Wrestling. And it's like not because of, you know, the Bullet Club is like kind of like making it notable around the globe, but also like the top quality matches in New Japan Pro Wrestling, especially how they actually going higher and higher. I know like years ago with the whole like Antonio Inoki and the whole Inokiism, which I highly suggest you guys check out the YouTube videos. They have a lot of like videos about this whole Inokiism situation and how New Japan is going rising at top. And that was like a perfect point where like just to bring in a lot of fans too, like
Mm-hmm.
all over.
Yeah,
But
you think
yeah.
about the dark era too, where the Ace, if nobody else, the Ace was also one of the greatest of all time. Hiroshi Tanahashi kept
Mm-hmm.
leading New Japan Pro Wrestling on his back to really keep it alive and going. There was a period when people thought New Japan Pro Wrestling was dead in the water, as I've learned through history. Because ever since being a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling for about 10 years, I try and watch as much as I can during downtime, but I also try and learn as much from it as I can too, including looking at like Chris Charlton's Twitter, many articles, many classic archive matches, and even that timeline, which I'm still trying to fully figure out. New Japan Pro Wrestling has been probably my number one forward passion now, at least for the last 10 years, if I have to be honest with you. Because there was a period where I was kind of like, you know, disappointed, lost, and almost kind of trying to figure out myself as a fan. If I'm not a fan of this, what am I? What can I enjoy in life? And New Japan Pro Wrestling renewed that for me in the early 2010s.
Definitely. And how it's like change it all together within, especially bringing it like for me, it's like I was just a casual watcher for New Japan until like once New Japan Pro Wrestling has been back this year. And like what my schedule has been like kind of like working out smoothly, especially I'm going through a transition with my job. It's like now I can finally watch New Japan Pro Wrestling like in a perfect timing, and that's when I became like a full-fledged fan now for this with New Japan, especially like your love and passion for it too.
There you go. I mean, the
Yeah.
G1 Climax shows, they literally hit just 2.5 hours versus the previous 3.5 to 4 hours. So again, good things out of COVID era. Professional wrestling now, it's easier to follow through an entire show under some cases because they are taking precautionary measures.
Exactly. Especially like how they keep the health and safety for like everybody across the line too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Anyway, Noah, and here's the last question because I know this is gonna be a non-wrestling question because me, my gimmick of like, what is your favorite beverage? Because you have me
uh,
and my
I
tea.
mean, I could grab it for you, but there's also 12 Ks literally by my bed. It's Mountain Dew Classic, simple as that. I've drunk Mountain Dew now. I don't know how long after I moved on from Pepsi and root beers, which I still drink. But whether it's Mountain Dew Classic, whether it's any Mountain Dew that is non-diet, it's Mountain Dew that's my number one. But as trying to do better by my body, I've been drinking more of these Propel waters right here in various flavors. But Mountain Dew will always be my number one favorite drink. I still drink a can a week.
Oh, awesome, awesome. All right, Noah, there you have it with the questions and whatnot, just to get to know who are you and what you're all about, especially for our listeners out here too. All right, Noah. So with that being said, we get to know you now. We're just gonna go ahead and talk some news. I know I'm not gonna be covering results from past independent wrestling show. That's gonna be for the next episode of Into the Stratusphere, which I know it's gonna be a big one, especially GCW the Collective, y'all, which is gonna be taking place this Friday, October 9th, all the way to
Yep,
11th.
October 9th. That's
Yeah.
Friday.
So
I
anyway,
think
you guys.
Bloodsport's coming up as well. The Josh Burnett's Bloodsport, and I think a Spring Break special came up as well.
Oh yeah, it's part of the collective.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, all right, you guys. With that being said, let's go ahead and go kick off some news that's been going on in the world of wrestling with New Japan and Impact Wrestling, and also other that is outside of it too. Especially we got some news, even though it's just for three top news we got. So anyway, breaking news as of Monday, October 5th. So on HollywoodReporter.com confirms that season 4, which is supposed to be the final season of Glow, is officially canceled. According to Netflix, it has to reverse a renewal decision on its dramatically series Glow, citing COVID-19 issue, is not going forward with the 4th and final season for the series. Along with Glow, we have this only one season of Teenage Bounty Hunter that is also canceled, which both of them has been executive produced by Jen D. Cohen, which to me, this is a very heartbreaking news. You have Glow, an all women's wrestling series that it brought wrestling fans and non-wrestling fans and also fans that have been watching Glow back in the 80s, and now it's officially canceled. It's what is going on? I know they started production in the beginning of this year up until they have to put it on hold because of the pandemic happened and the lockdown, and now it's officially canceled, which it's so mind-boggling and it doesn't even make sense whatsoever. So Noah, what are your thoughts on this cancellation of Glow?
Dang. I mean, we know how much Awesome Khan has put into that show. I mean, she's been one of the key parts of that show since its beginning. I can only imagine how affected she is by this. But I think about cancellations and struggles in media due to COVID, and I'm like, okay, what do you do? Is it truly over? How do you bounce back? And if one project fails, can you come up with something new? It's heartbreaking considering, again, it was supposed to be their final season. It was supposed to be the definitive end. There are some series that we, as people that just want to be entertained, that follow something since maybe episode 1, season 1, whatever you might be, or just newcomers. You want to see where it goes. You want to see the decisive conclusion. I think about shows that I wish had a decisive conclusion, but due to other restrictions on COVID, I never got to see them. So it's kind of hard to hear, and I can imagine how it's affected everybody who's probably been preparing for this and put in so much so far to this show. I can only hope that Karma, also come, whatever you might call her, as well as all of her colleagues, come up with some other projects that still inspire wrestling and non-wrestling fans, but also is profitable for them too. Because at the end of the day, this is their job. This is what they need to support their families. It's not just a hobby. It's not just an interest. So there's more to this than just our entertainment. This is actual people's incomes at risk here. So I'm really sad to hear that, and I honestly hope everything works well. I mean, Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy, they finally came back and figured stuff out. As a game show enthusiast, I was happy to see that. And for the longest time, I was worried about Alex Trebek. But whenever somebody loses out on a production type value to be a part of, it not just hurts us as fans. I feel it hurts the actors and those that take part in it and put everything into it more. I wish them all the best, and I hope that a new side project comes out of it, maybe next year.
Yeah, like it is a really devastating news, especially like, you know, with Awesome Kong at aka Kia Stevens, and then you have other actors too, like Allison Brie, and also you have like special guests, or especially it has been confirmed that like Taya Valkyrie, even though she did posted a broken heart emoji, a few minutes later she did broke her silence, saying that she's gonna be a special guest on the fourth and final season of Glow as one of the wrestlers, and she shared like a behind the scene photo of what her character is gonna be and whatnot. Since now that it's officially canceled, Taya is not gonna be getting her opportunity to have everybody seeing like her acting ability. Don't get me wrong, she did an incredible job being an actress on Lucha Underground, because it is a mixture of like, you know, drama and wrestling too.
Absolutely.
But like not in like a full Hollywood effect too. And that's really devastating for Taya or other special guest stars too. You know?
I mean, maybe they can at least try and do some sort of like behind the scenes thing. Give us like some sort of production idea of what was going in so far, just to maybe send the fans home happy, knowing that this is what we were trying to do for you. I'm sorry when we got. I just feel like we need to give something to the fans. I hope that the fans all get something out of it too. I used to watch Glow for a little bit, but again, with work and life, primarily everything I watch is mostly wrestling and game show here and there. But again, I would hope that something comes out of this, like some sort of behind the scenes special or this day in production, etc. And Lucha Underground, yeah, I know Taya Valkyrie. It was not full on acting, but I definitely believe, since she also is married to John Morris, aka John Hannigan, who's known to act in movies, I can imagine what she was going to bring from a non-wrestling perspective.
That's right. But it's gonna be harder for fans just to go glued in to see like something on Netflix, because with now, like, you know, Netflix is like still in hot waters. I even went on a full rant on my Instagram stories, like, you know, giving my full-blown opinion about it. To make a long story short, like, I'm no longer supporting Netflix, because if you cancel Glow and then other shows in the past, but yet you still kept that very controversial movie that is glorifying child predators, that doesn't even make no sense whatsoever. And y'all know what I'm talking about with that controversial movie, which I'm not going to say it or anything or get into my knowledge. I went on a full rant on Instagram story and briefly on Twitter. So Netflix has been like in really hot waters, and this is the last straw. I already have my profiles removed a month ago when that whole controversy happened, and this is how it draws the line too. And I know a lot of people are like not happy about the cancellation, and also what is Netflix's move too, because face it, Netflix is in deep hot waters, Noah.
I mean, they were in deep hot waters when they raised the price on everybody and they promised everybody they weren't going to do that. I remember that story. But the last time I used Netflix was years ago, binging the entire original Mythbusters series. I haven't used Netflix in years. Neither has my mother. She uses Hulu.
Good call. Yeah, so it is going to make me think that, you know, even though I watch Netflix just to watch F is for Family, BoJack Horseman, which now it's done, Ozark, and also like waiting for the new season of Cobra Kai, which is transitioned from YouTube Red all the way to Netflix. Now it's like, you know what? It's not going to worth my time to watch it. I'll just wait and see if Stranger Things is going to release a DVD, because I know they release like DVD of like previous seasons, you know?
Yeah,
And I
I was
know,
following that series for a while. And when in doubt, let's be honest, this is the internet. Eventually, you can Google it, you can watch it.
yeah, but I'd rather just, you know, support like the productions and the actors
I
and
agree.
whatnot too. But yeah,
I just know
so
what people go to when it comes to getting what they want. I mean, what was it? Game of Thrones, like it was the most pirated series in all of media history, and people are still PO'd on how that ended. And I didn't even follow
exactly.
that series.
Right.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, thank goodness I did not follow along Game of Thrones. Please don't come with me at me, guys.
Oh,
It's
they're
really
already
not my
coming
cup
at
of
both
tea.
of us. I
Yeah,
recognize dragons, castles, too
yeah,
many episodes, too many seasons. I used to work at Walmart. I sold those box sets of seasons, all right? I
yeah.
understand the show. I just didn't watch all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all in all, I just wanted to wish everybody best of luck. And who knows, we may be seeing Awesome Kong back in AEW, but time would tell, Noah. I mean, we'll see. All right. So in other news, so it has been confirmed on the last episode of the Chris Van Fleet show that former WWE Superstar and former NWA Women's Champion Jazz has been announced that she is officially retired. That's
Wow.
right. She officially retired. Has been confirmed that like due to like personal issues, including her health issue, she wanted to keep going at it, especially like going on a last tour in 2020. And so she confirmed that like because of her physical, mental, and emotional issues that she's been having, that she decided just to retire, and that's when she also dropped the NWA Women's Champion. So yeah, so unfortunately, Jazz is now retired. And honestly, I think it's kind of like sad to say that she is going to be no longer doing in-ring work. I mean, she had like an incredible year in the wrestling business too. So what are your thoughts on everything, Noah?
A one-of-a-kind career and the longest-reigning NWA Women's Champion in my memory with over 900 days. And I remember she did bring up a cameo spot in a Casino Battle Royale with the women in AEW. I feel that she still has much to give to the wrestling industry, but there's that time with a wrestler, and this is the hardest question I've seen for a wrestler when watching documentaries for those that literally had to do this, whether temporary or permanent, though this is permanent. You gotta really wonder, when does the wrestler decide that they can no longer do it and truly believe that's the right decision to go with? As you said, there are many factors that go into this. Physical health, mental health got to be two of the biggest factors. Emotional health has to be another one. I think about Undertaker's last ride, where I thought the man would never retire, to the point that his family, they supported him. They were worried about him too. Bones being brittle, taking on cryotherapy just to actually walk. And now it seems like he's finally at peace, literally just relaxing and taking care of his family. So I hope that's the case for Jazz, because I know it has to be hard for her, because honestly, I wasn't sure when she was going to be done. If nothing else, I hope that maybe WWE can put her into the WWE Hall of Fame, because I feel she definitely deserves that with the work she put in, not just WWE, but just in professional wrestling in general. And maybe she can lead the future in a way, like be a coach or something, start a podcast and provide a positive outlet to those that want to maybe still be with her, that support her. It's always tough for a wrestler to say, that's it, I'm done. And truly, you are done. In Jazz's case, I have to imagine that she truly means it, because she's done everything. But we've also known what this last year has been for everybody, including her. So all I can say is I wish Jazz the best in whatever the future wishes to provide her and whatever pursuits she wishes to do.
Definitely. So now that she has done in-ring and she can be focused on one thing, is being a mother to her two daughters too.
There you
I
go.
mean, Jazz, I remember Jazz made her debut during the Attitude Era, transition to the Ruthless Aggression era. I would say one of my favorite match of all time from Jazz actually was the triple threat match for the WWE Women's Champion at WrestleMania 19 against Victoria and Trish Stratus. That was a
Absolutely.
pretty impressive match that I was so tuned into, and this is how the definition of real women's wrestling is all about. Even though she lost to one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, Trish Stratus, for the title,
Yeah.
but she put in all her hard work and all her dues, no matter what. Although that her theme song in WWE was kind of not my favorite, but I am very admired by her in-ring work and her Tessa strength too, and especially like how Teddy Long used to manage her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. That's
in
my
real
guy. That's my
time.
manager right there. Holla. Yeah, Teddy Long has been an invaluable part of Jazz's career among so many other greats in women's professional wrestling. You think about this boom period, some say, since we've had the women's evolution. Necessarily, women's wrestling wasn't really picked up from there. It was started in the early going, even before Trish Stratus and Lita. And Jazz was one of those pioneers, definitely leading it. So again, I thank her and I wish her all the best.
That's right. So, from all of us at the Bullet Cast, we wanted to wish the best of luck to Jazz and her happy retirement. Thank you so much for everything you do in the wrestling business. All right. With that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the last piece of news. So, on Tuesday, October 6th, New Japan Pro Wrestling has announced that they're going to be doing not one, but two tournament as an alternate schedule. That's right. The World Tag League 2020 and the Best of Super Junior 27. It will kick off on November 15th for both shows, and then afterwards it's going to be the alternate, just like with the G1 Climax with the A block and then the B block for that, up until December 11th, where both tournaments will be combined together for the finale too. So yeah, Noah, this is a big news for everyone, especially like how they are during the COVID era. I know they're combining together because we have some of the New Japan Pro Wrestling stars that are stuck in their respective country due to the travel restriction or like other personal reasonings too. Because I know we have some stars from New Japan Pro Wrestling America is now in Japan competing for the G1 Climax. So there is a lot of like possibility for this. So what are your thoughts on the announcement of this tournament?
Well, first off, considering the type of schedule New Japan Pro Wrestling has been under, when you consider right now we'd be preparing for the King of Pro Wrestling pay that usually gives you like 5 of your best matches of the year, it's a very different dynamic. And the funny thing is, even before this double tour, we have Power Struggle right before this, earlier in November. But I'm extremely interested and intrigued. As we know, the G1 sets up the main title picture for Wrestle Kingdom, but based on certain competitors' runs, it sets up other title matches and storylines out of it too. And of course, Best Super Juniors is always dedicated to setting up the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. You gotta imagine we're gonna see Kicking Time Bomb Hiromu Takahashi involved in this. I can see Master Wato debuting. Bushi, your guy. I could see maybe optimistically, maybe some people from NJPW Strong being part of this. I would love to see the DKC, Danny Limelight, Clark Connors, even if he possibly wins this crown. What's the other one? Blake Christian, who truly impressed me in his match. I've been definitely a fan of his work. And I'm curious to see how many people are also involved in these fields as well, because like you said, each day after the opener, it is separate action. It's going to be maybe 10 teams and 10 individuals for each of these tours. As far as teams, you talk about Finn Juice, you talk about maybe Golden Ace maybe getting back together. You talk about maybe Master Wato forming a team again with the coach. But then again, World Tag League is more focused on the heavyweight side, so I don't see that. I got to imagine GOD has to be involved in this, bar none. So, and of course, the tag team champions, Zack Sabre Jr. and Taiji, I have to be involved in this too, as Zack Sabre Jr. wants to elevate the tag team championships. So it's extremely interesting to me. And I also love the fact they're going back to Nippon Budokan, which we all know has been a huge staple venue for these tour finales, especially the G1, which unfortunately will not be in that venue during this G1. That kind of makes me sad. But I'm happy to see that they'll bring the Nippon Budokan back for this. So I'm extremely intrigued and excited for this, but I have to wonder, what does this mean for afterwards? You got to imagine with the amount of time left, the only thing left is the road to Tokyo Dome. So we'll have to wait and see how this all falls out. And I imagine there's going to be a press conference as soon as either Power Struggle is over or the G1's over regarding who we might see in this.
Definitely. I know there's going to be a lot of speculations and what's going to be happening next with New Japan, but let them know New Japan's strong altogether. For that too, since now Takumi Obari is now the new CEO of New Japan Pro Wrestling as a whole, is he also going to be running the New Japan Pro Wrestling USA, or there's going to be a new CEO? There is a lot of endless possibility, especially with the participant too. For the Best of Super Junior, I know they're just going to bring in wrestlers that we know, or probably someone from New Japan Strong, and especially for the World Tag League 2020. I know that Tama Tonga did post a really funny tweet calling out Evil and Dick Togo for not putting a too sweet, and called them, well, H-word muffins. We haven't heard him tweet that and call them since, I believe, early last year.
The good bad guy strikes again. I can see Dick Togo and Evil versus GOD in the World Tag League as well. Heck, I can see former champions, believe it or not, because this is a thing. I can see Tomohiro Ishii and Toru Yano forming a freaking team in this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, imagine that madness. The toughest fighter and the most ridiculous wrestler. So again, I'm very optimistic of this. And you talk about bringing people over here from New Japan Strong or different regions. They might do something similar like they did prior to the G1. Because I was reading something where it said if you were in Japan by what was it, September 5th, I think, you were held in quarantine until the G1. So while travel restrictions might be lifted a little bit, they might be already doing something like that before. Who knows? We might see Amazing Red.
Definitely too. I know they're bringing in like stars as long as they have like a special visa just to travel.
Exactly.
Because according to like what I saw the reports about non-essential travelers to Japan, like tourism, they're actually gonna be like resuming, I believe, in April 2021. But there's gonna be a lot of changes has been going on, especially during this pandemic era. But we'll see how it's gonna play out a lot along the line, especially with this whole curiosity too.
Indeed, and like you said, that guy's taking over as COO. Thank you so much, Arigato Harold Maji. At the mid-end of October, I believe October 23rd. So we'll definitely see how that impacts New Japan Strong and NJPW over in Japan as well. And again, with the fact that this week concludes that tournament, we'll find out what's next for sure for NJPW Strong, I imagine.
Exactly. Alrighty, so that is it for the news. So before we go into the usual recap, we're going to be hearing we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to hear from Brandon of Curveballs and Chair Shots.
What's up, everyone? It's Brandon. If you love sports and wrestling like I do, then check out my other podcast, Curveballs and Chair Shots. Every Friday, me and my illustrious co-host Dominic Hobson talk the biggest news from the MLB, NFL, NBA, and so much more. We also cover some things we don't talk about here on the Bulletcast, including a weekly NXT recap. You can listen to Curveballs and Chair Shots wherever you get your podcast. Just simply search Curveballs and Chair Shots. Now let's get back to the show.
Alrighty, and we are back to commercial break, y'all. I know we had to get our drink breaks and take a breather a bit. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start doing the quick recap for starting off with New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, which took place on Friday, October 2nd. And I'm surprised enough, honestly, Noah, I feel this is not their best show, best episode of all, like for New Japan Strong. I feel it's kind of like, I don't know what it is. I feel it's kind of like slow pace because I think it's because of the match placement they put. Like you have at the start of the semifinal match for the Lions Break Crown and then just the regular match all together. So
yeah, I kind of agree because when you consider the New Japan Pro Wrestling formula, you usually have your main focus of the show as your later half, and one of those matches is your main event. While this time the main event focused more on a subtle feud between Bullet Club and this unique team of wrestling individuals led by Rocky Romero. I feel like this card truly should have been reversed. The 8-man should have been the second. The tag team match should have been the first. And then you should have ended basically with Danny Limelight and Big Christian because that was my favorite match of the show. And the truth be told, those semifinal matches, they did not go as long as you think, 8 minutes, and they don't have a time limit as far as I know. But I thought both of them were really good. And if this tournament is your main focus right now, don't you think that should be your closer? It felt like an odd show to me.
Exactly. So with the odd show, let's go ahead and go with a quick recap. So like starting off with the semifinal match for the Lions Break Crown tournament you have is Clark Connors versus Logan Regal, which the match ended in 7 minutes and 51 seconds. I mean, I feel this match was kind of like slow pace for like, the different like formatting of this match combined together. But I know both of these gentlemen did an impressive job showcasing their match, but there was like a lot of like, offensive going on and then submission holds. And all in all, you have Clark Connors with the signature Boston Crab to pick up the victory and going to the final. So what do you think of this match overall, Noah?
Again, when you look at New Japan Pro Wrestling, I look at the wrestling match versus the result. There's no doubt that everyone's favorite, and the clear favorite in this, according to most people except Kevin Kelly, was Clark Connors. Clark Connors had a very effective offense in the early going, but Logan Regal tried to slow down his momentum, but he ate a spear, and that effective Boston Crab, Young Lions, New Japan Pro Wrestling style, it gave Clark Connors the emphatic win. So can he repeat that performance in the finals? We'll have to wait and see. But pretty good match and pretty good showing by Logan Regal. I'm still surprised he beat freaking DKC, but that's a whole nother story.
Exactly. Like, we were all surprised that, like, Regal did defeat a DKC with a roll-up brawl.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah. So now it's that, like, I know Clark Connors is, like, everybody's popular pick because he is the only one out of competing in the LA dojo, since we don't know what's going on with Alex Coughlin, and Carl Frederick is officially graduated from the LA dojo now to part of the main roster, and I don't know what's going on with Ren Narita altogether. Gabriel Kidd is stuck in Japan competing for the G1 Climax unofficial C block.
And he's
Yeah.
currently losing with 2 wins.
Yeah. So all in all, it's that, like, Clark Connors, they had to bring his A game no matter what, especially leading up to the finals.
He doesn't want to be the last one to graduate. That's his motive.
That's right. And then let's go ahead and move on to the next match. And the last of the semifinal match for the Lions Break Crown tournament you have is Danny Limelight versus Blake Christian, which ends in 7 minutes and 54 minutes. And I feel this match was pretty solid. It was pretty solidly good. Not the best, not the worst, but solid good. And you have, like, a lot of this high-flying caliber to it, too. And, of course, at the end, Danny Limelight did plan Blake Christian with a small package driver to pick up the victory, all in all, and he's now going to the finals, which I am happy because he's my overall pick, and I know you picked Blake Christian. So, Noah.
I did.
Exactly. We have our own, like, New Japan Pro Wrestling prediction league, just between me and him, you guys. And y'all know since the return, yours truly won. But we'll see what's going to happen.
Lucky. We'll see at Wrestle Kingdom. That's where I thrive. But anyway, Blake Christian was my favorite going into this. But I already knew kind of he was going into this hindered, but especially with his ribs being worked over from the match. But then again, as they put over Sully on commentary, Kevin Kelly and Alex Kozlov, I mean, the man has literally fought with, like, one limb, whether it's one arm, one leg. He's fought where he felt like he couldn't breathe. He fought on pure instinct. And it really showed here. There was a couple of really close spots. I thought he had Danny Limelight. And again, it was fast auxiliary offense by both men. But Danny Limelight showing Rocky Romero type of experience and also mannerisms. He put out the win in the end with the small package driver. I respect both men. I thought it was a really good match. And I know for sure this is the last we've heard of Blake Christian. But congratulations to your pick advancing in the finals. Now we'll really see who comes out on top.
Oh, totally.
I just hope his ribs are okay. Blake Christian, get those ribs worked on, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that injury scare was, like, wow. Like, brutal. Like, I hope he's okay. I know he gave it his all he got. I know Blake Christian have, like, one or two bookings coming up for the GCW Collective, but we're not sure what's going on with, like, the updates and whatnot. But we'll see what's going to happen next. But all in all, this match was pretty stellar. It's, like, a lot of, like, moments, but I think it's, like, it's just gotta be careful, like, no matter what, with this high caliber of the matches together.
That's some of the risks people take, especially in New Japan Pro Wrestling, whether you're a veteran or a young lion. Just saying.
That's right. So congratulations, Danny Limelight. And we have is our finals for next week, New Japan Strong. Well, actually this week, duh. Because of, like,
it's October 9th. It's this Friday.
I know. Well, sometimes with this podcast episode is kind of like in delay, and then it's like, released like a day after New Japan Strong. But I know we got to, thank goodness I just called the dates. But yeah, so for this week, we'll see who's going to be the winner. Right. Is it Danny Limelight or is it Clark Connors? We'll have to find out. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the next match. Now we're on, like, I think you call it the regular New Japan Strong match. It was a tag team. Yeah, okay. We have the tag team match between Carl Frederick and TJP versus the team of Brody King and Flip Gordon. That match was pretty decent. I mean, you have a lot of, like, questionable in-ring tactic. Is it just me, or is it TJP's moveset kind of like a bit cooled down? Because I know when in Impact Wrestling he does those cool submission holds, especially with the double sharpshooter, but I feel like with him in New Japan it's kind of like a hit or miss type of situation too. I don't know, is it just me, or
it feels like he's trying to define himself maybe in a different style in New Japan Pro Wrestling versus Impact Wrestling, as he's just trying to be a great professional wrestler. What I also find interesting is how he and Carl Fredericks, they kind of gelled pretty well as a tag team, and TJP more so let Carl Fredericks try and take the lead in this match. It wasn't like TJP was trying to lead Carl Fredericks. A very different dynamic when you consider these two face each other one-on-one in last year's Lion Break Project, or the Super J Cup. It was one of those two things. And then I look at Brody King and Flip Gordon, who, of course, as far as I know, were working with Ring of Honor, still might be. And these two are forming a very dominant dynamic. And that finisher at the end with the takeover into the TKO, that was friggin' ridiculous. And the fact that TJP was the one that ate the fall versus Carl also kind of surprised me. So more so, I feel like TJP now might be just trying to feel out Carl Fredericks, maybe see what he's capable of, maybe try and push him forward versus what TJP is known to do. It was a different feeling for me when TJP was in this match because I feel like he was trying to get Carl Fredericks to get the rub here. But overall, it was still a pretty good match. But I must say, I'm kind of surprised that these two got the win. Makes me wonder what it means for them in Ring of Honor.
Oh, totally, too. Like, yeah, Flip Gordon with the TKO to pick up the victory, pinning, I believe, was
TJP.
Yeah, I was right. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what's going to happen next, especially like, how they will gel together because this match was like, like a solid match, especially how it is going to be in the future with like a working relationship with Ring of Honor, since now Ring of Honor is now back with their tournament style. And who knows if Brody King and Flip Gordon are going to be going to Japan to compete in the World Tag League. There's so much endless possibility.
I didn't think about that. That actually might work for them too, because we see Mr. Broly take it to big, powerful boys. And when Brody King was in this match, he definitely turned the match into his team's favor. But kudos to Flip Gordon, especially surviving the onslaught. Carl Fredericks was just facing him. And again, good tag team dynamics. They tried to isolate Flip Gordon, but as soon as Brody King got in, it was basically game over.
Oh, yeah, definitely. All right. So congratulations to the winners. I have my different opinion about Flip Gordon. I don't call his action, but yeah. Anyway, so let's go and move on to the main event match, which is the 8-man tag team match, which has the team of Mysterioso, Rocky Romero, Dave Finlay, and Jeff Cobb versus Bullet Club, Jay White, Kenta, Chase Owens, and Hikuleo, which I'm surprised that, like, Kevin Kelly and Alex Koslov did not acknowledge that this was pre-taped because, as you all know, Jeff Cobb, Kenta, and Jay White is in Japan competing for the G1 Climax.
Yep.
Yeah, so I just feel they should add a little bit of disclaimer saying that this match is pre-taped, they're in Japan and stuff like that. At least we get to see Kenta's quarantine hair. I miss his fluffy hair, though, before he died. What?
Yeah, good. I used to have hair. I used to have hair not as big as that, but I used to have the hair like that. So I get
it. Totally. So anyway, yeah, that match was pretty awesome for the main event match, even though it's kind of like a little bit flat, but it was awesome. I feel that like Chase Owens and Hikuleo did the most. Like a little bit out of like Jay White and Kenta altogether. And Mysterioso was the one that picked up like the full blown, like, in-ring ability too. So of course you have Chase Owens goes to a cover up to pick the victory after Hikuleo did plant Mysterioso with the gunslinger. So no overall with this match.
I'm surprised Rocky Romero's breathing after that one freaking chop after trying to test Hikuleo's chest. What the world were you thinking, Coach? Hey, Rocky Romero, he tried to lead the troops to victory, but it just didn't work out. I've been impressed with Mysterioso since seeing him on an NJPW Strong. I thought he definitely looked like the strongest here. And Jeff Cobb, of course, he just wanted one person, Kenta. While Jay White, of course, has just proven Bullet Club, taking over the world, dominating everywhere. But Hikuleo, he was definitely VIP of this match, especially when it looked like Mysterioso and company were getting the better of the team after Rocky Romero led them into the clotheslines forever. But of course, to the point, Alex Kozlov now wants to defect from Chaos to Bullet Club. Yeah, Bullet Club got the win, and Chase Owens got the fall thanks to Hikuleo's assistance. So like you said, maybe Chase Owens and Hikuleo is a team to look out for in the World Tag League. We know Chase Owens is a former Tag League competitor. It was a pretty good match, and now I just wonder what's next for the ones that are still over there, which I have to imagine are going to be at least Mysterioso and maybe Chase Owens if they don't do the Chase Owens and Galeo thing. It was an odd match, but more so it's just trying to see if somebody can stop Bullet Club. I feel like that was the biggest story here, and it didn't happen. A pretty good match, though.
Definitely. I just feel that, like, they kind of like put it in ring work, like in an impressive state of it. But all in all, I was pretty much like, interesting with the match, even though despite the fact that this whole show itself was kind of odd, but I feel it's kind of like flat, especially with like, the placement of the match too.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering what's going to be happening next for this week episode of New Japan Strong, especially the fact that like now Takumi Obari is now the CEO for it. What is going to be the future of New Japan Strong, especially like now that like some of the competitors here in the US so can finally go to Japan to perform overseas. So there is a lot to sink in what's going on.
They might have like a tag team qualifier for the World Tag League. And again, like, this is pre-tape, so for all we know, they might have like qualifying matches to see maybe one or two teams could participate in the World Tag League. And for all we know, Hikuleo, Chase Owens, they might already be in Japan. David Finlay might be in Japan. I could see them doing something like that. I don't see them doing necessarily another tournament or round-robin thing out the gate.
Definitely, too. And yeah, so all in all, Noah, so here we do rate based on, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs middle, like Sami Callihan. Thumbs up, thumbs down. At first I was thinking movie credits, but like, oh wait, Sami Callihan and stuff. So, Noah, what can you rate this show? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs middle. You could also do a 1.5.
Hikuleo was definitely a key performer in this match. I'm curious what they do with him, especially if he already had a one-on-one match feud with the biggest player right now in NJPW Strong, Brody King. I enjoyed both the Young Lions Cup matches. I felt like they deserved more time. I felt like the booking was a little odd for the show overall. Blake Christian, hell of an effort. Pretty good action overall. Danny Limelight showed heart. I probably did 1.5.
Same thing, Noah. I'm giving the show 1.5, even though the show was like pretty much like in an odd order. And I feel like, that young Lions break crown. I keep saying young Lion breaks crown.
I know, you're so used to saying young lion.
I know, right?
Lions break crown. Lions break crown. Everything in New Japan Strong is lions something. Lion
right?
Break, apparently.
Yeah, and so like with this match placement, I wish it would have been in a main event, especially how it is, but I can understand why for that, but it kind of like feels out of tune, out of place, especially with other of the matches too. So yeah, 1.5 thumbs up. So yeah. Alrighty, you guys, let's go ahead and move on to this event that happened this past weekend on Saturday, October 3rd. Impact Wrestling presents Victory Road. That was only exclusively on Impact Plus. Like I said, I did not watch the whole show. I only watched the highlight that has been posted on their YouTube channel. But Noah, I know you did watch the whole show itself for that.
Yeah.
So what are your overall take of this pay-per-view?
Well, it was longer than a regular episode of Impact, clocking in at 2 hours and 45 minutes and a 9-match card. I thought all the matches were pretty strong and pretty fun. There was some entertaining moments, especially with Rohit Raju yelling, "Opportunity!" as he defended the title against Willie Mack. And, of course, won it via count-out, but you don't change the title on a count-out. So I thought that was entertaining. We finally got the closer to Neil Dashwood and Jordan Grace. And I thought things were really good in the last 3 matches where you had the preview of the Fatal 4-Way for Bound for Glory. You have Eric Young and Eddie Edwards renewing hostilities, but you're also looking at, is Eddie Edwards' ankle holding up? And then I also look at, can you really bring something out of Kylie Ray that we haven't seen before that could push her to maybe beating Deonna Purrazzo? And, of course, when we talk about Impact tonight, we'll talk more about that. But overall, I thought the show had good flow. Each of the matches had some pretty good time. I didn't really feel like there was a match I was like, okay, why is this here? And I enjoyed it overall. Pretty good special. I'm glad they're back doing those monthly specials on Impact Plus. I kind of miss those.
Definitely, too. And I know they're trying to glue it into everybody just to subscribe to the Impact Plus and also 30 days for free and stuff. I mean, I would love to sign up for it, but I honestly don't have the time for it because, like, you know, I have school, driving test, which you all know your girl failed. Damn you, bike lane. Digress. Looking at it again. Like,
you'll get it next time.
Anyway, now the cat is out in the back for my important announcement from last week. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, all in all, like when I look at the results of it, and especially the highlight, I feel it's, like I said, it's like a glorifying house shows, but with no audience whatsoever. But I know, yeah, and I know we mentioned it, like, you know, there's like matches like, why is it on this match and whatnot. And now for commentators, you have is Josh Matthews and Madison Rayne, which I was like, okay, this is like another episode of Impact Wrestling, go figure and stuff. Even though they're trying to save Josh Matthews and Don Callis for Bound for Glory, for I'm presuming, because I know Don Callis made his return at Slammiversary. True. All right, you guys. So the quick results right here, because Noah did say very beautifully about his thoughts of, you know, Victory Road. So you have Triple XL versus the Rascal, where the Rascal defeated Triple XL. Is it the match that's like, what's going on, Noah?
Sort of. I mean, it was really weird. You had a match of basically high-flying cruiserweights versus the biggest heavyweights, bigger probably than the bouncers when you figure up combined weight from Ring of Honor. And again, for the most part, I thought that I thought Triple XL was going to get the win here, but Rascal showed tenacity. Desmond got the win at the end with the corkscrew splash. Pretty weird, but again, both these teams you got to consider in the tag team division. I'm kind of surprised the Rascals aren't involved in the tag team title picture. But this match, I think, was a first step towards it. And honestly, we haven't seen a lot of Triple XL in ring progression-wise for a while. So maybe these losses will lead to some character development. But hey, kudos to AC on losing 100 pounds.
No, that I know, right? I mean, I did give his high praise about it, especially on past episode Into the Stratosphere, and he's still working at it no matter what, too. All right, and so, like, another result you have here is Brian Myers versus Tommy Dreamer, where Brian Myers defeated Tommy Dreamer. Then you have you mentioned about the X Division Open Challenge match, you know.
The Heat Challenge.
Yep, that's right. Willie Mack defeated Rohit Raju via countout, but Raju is still the X Division champion. You have Jordan Grace versus Tennille Dasher with Caleb Conley with 2 Ks, people, 2 Ks.
Hey, he just says with a K, so I'm just going to address him like that. But also, while you're talking about people with a K, right before that, Sami Callihan is trying to unleash Ken Shamrock in a way via social media liking, although I think it's exaggerated when he said 45 billion.
Interesting. All right, and then, like, in the results right here, Tennille Dashwood defeated Jordan Grace. Same tactic when they first faced off. Not surprised, you know, referee distraction by Caleb with a K and all that. So there's like a rematch. And then you have is Heath Slater and Rhino versus Reno Scum in an unsanctioned match. God, it's like a tongue twister. Where Heath and Moose defeated Reno Scum. So that kind of guaranteed Heath possibly getting signed to Impact Wrestling. And then you have Moose versus Trey Miguel. Is it the match just like what is going on match, Noah?
Absolutely, because as you know, this match was a rematch basically from the Impact Emergence special. I think it was night 1. And of course, this was over Moose's figurative, in his eyes, TNT World Heavyweight title. What's funny about this match, before the match was officially announced, I don't even know if it was announced before this, Scott D'Amore basically, he found Moose backstage, pounding on his office door, wanting to talk to him about, he has my title, I'm in no state to wrestle. And then basically Scott reads in the ride that, okay, well, last time I checked, wrestlers wrestle to prove a point. And last time I checked, titles are not living beings. Inanimate objects don't have funerals. You need to focus, show us why you're the best. Show us, brag why you're the best by beating Trey Miguel and going in the ring. And then he just kept walking off, basically berating Moose about this title, blah, 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 blah.
Oh my God.
This match was just weird, but it was clearly just for one purpose. Proving the point that EC3 is still controlling this narrative, because EC3 with the Titantron distraction, Trey got the roll-up win. So I guess technically now they're 1-1, but I think that was the last thing on Moose's mind. As he ran backstage to the production truck, because he thought he was there, gets trapped, hears all this noise, EC3 logo everywhere, leaves the truck, finds the belt in a little eulogy area, the actual belt, and then EC3 drops him from behind and then basically tells him that this belt dies and a funeral comes with it Tuesday. So again, this match was clearly just story purpose. This was the match I was like, why is this here?
Interesting. Yeah, like it's kind of like seems that like when I read the results, it's like how come why did you put this match out of this? And I'm glad like I wish this match would have happened at the next episode of Impact Wrestling like happens today altogether, and that can make more sense with the tie-in of the storyline, which we're gonna get into that with the rest of the Impact Wrestling recap, you guys. So very well said, Noah, and thank you for like asking like who wins and with this motive too.
No
All
problem.
right. And then afterwards, with the match you had is the Four Corners match where Josh Alexander, representing the North, defeated Alex Shelley, Ace Austin, and Carl Anderson, and via the underhook package pile driver. And that's what I said about Josh Alexander. He is the king of Canadian strong style for that too.
I won't
And
argue that.
that's right. And then you did mention about the Knockouts title match between Deonna Purrazzo versus Susie, where Deonna Purrazzo did retain the title, which if you guys saw like from the highlights, we're just going to see it right now with like the highlights of what happened you saw on the episode. That's right. After the match, Deonna Purrazzo did attack Susie mercilessly. She grabbed a chair. She placed it between Susie's arm, and then she started, stepping on it, and then did a Fujiwara armbar to Susie while Kimberly was holding Kylie Ray like face to witness everything too. And my question to you is, have you seen a little bit of like a trigger from Susie transitioning to Su Young, like a hint?
Yes, I did. She did the arachnophobia thing, and for a while her hair was not coming to her face. There was subtle twitching, and it looked like at the end she was going to go for a panic switch, but Deonna Purrazzo countered that into what she's calling the Venus de Milo, the double Fujiwara bar, and got a verbal tap out from Susie. And I was like, oh boy, I keep saying it. I feel like we're going to see Su Young at Bound for Glory. Now, how that plays in the actual title match itself, which you know now is official, between Kylie Ray and Deonna Purrazzo for Knockouts Championship, only time will tell. But yeah, talk about some psychological warfare.
Indeed, Noah. And then we're going to go to the main event match you have is Eric Young versus Eddie Edwards for the Impact World Championship match, where Eddie Edwards was almost about to win, but then EY with the heel hook submission, and then Eddie Edwards defeated him. And yeah, no, and you mentioned like, you were impressed with the main event match overall and all that too. And then what happened afterwards?
Well, despite the fact that Edwards was literally a one barefoot man with a probably broken ankle, Eric Young tried to go for a post-match attack with a chair, and Rich Swann comes out for the save. And he has an equalizer of his own, and that's it. And he literally gets his hands on Eric Young for a little bit, but Eric Young, of course, he escapes with the title. And that was the end of the show, as the show basically ended with, again, what they've been playing every Impact episode, it seems, that Eric Young vignette into Bound for Glory. A couple of other things to notice at one point, Myers called Dreamer a sad old man based on the result of that match, which I thought that match was a little slow in my opinion. But again, they're saying neither man are the same since that point. And also, that four-way was probably my favorite match. And, of course, it wasn't four. It was all 8-man got involved at one point. Millie and Sue, Rep was down. Rep ejected all the outside men. And this order was finally established. It was two men, legal at a time. And Josh Alexander got the win in the end, pinning one half of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley. I thought it was a really good match.
Oh, impressive. So all in all, it seems that Victory Road was a pretty solid show after all, with like moves of like impressive moments, and especially matches that add in that kind of like doesn't make sense, and also like how this will tie into this episode of Impact Wrestling, which we'll be recapping it all together. So all in all, I'm not gonna be grading this all together or give my thumbs up, thumbs down, because like I have not watched the show whatsoever. I know they're going to be doing more of the Impact Plus special. And again, you guys, this is probably going to be something different. Aligned, like I'll be bringing in someone who actually watch Impact Plus, like Noah Foster, for example, my dear buddy and my close friend of the wrestling world, y'all. All right, y'all. So before we get into the recap from this past episode of Impact Wrestling, we're going to be taking a quick commercial break, and we're going to be hearing from Philip of Chicle TV.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Philip here. Look, there are so many channels out there on YouTube that do pranks and challenges and funny videos like That Just Happened TV, Nelk, and Love Live Serve. But why don't you look up Chikle TV? Yes, Chikle TV. Chikle TV. It is a channel I started with my buddy Vinny a couple years ago, and we've done wrestling finishers in public. He's done eating challenges. We've done pranks to people. It's a whole lot of fun. You know, when you go to YouTube, it is the thumbnail with the guy blowing the bubble. It says Chikle TV right in the bubble. And look, you know, just sit down, relax, hop on YouTube, look up Chikle TV, and
Ooh, a little bit of the bubbly.
crack open a little bit of the bubbly. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Chikle TV. Like, share, subscribe. It is the freshest channel on YouTube.
All right, guys, and we are back. We had to take our drink break and our breathing break alike. So anyway, you guys, so let's go ahead and recap from last night's or a couple days ago episode of Impact Wrestling on Tuesday, October 6th, 2020. And so far, I know there has been some technical issue on and off on the Impact Wrestling Twitch account, where there was no commentary. And then during the commercial break, you have is Melissa Santos, where there was a technical issue with her audio, like being muted. And so now they have to resolve it. It was so crazy altogether. Like, I did try to watch it on Twitch, and I couldn't. Then I had to watch it on XTV. But then my sister got home, so I had to go back to my room and watch it on my PlayStation. It's a lot of crazy mess. So what are your thoughts on this technical issue?
I mean, literally, it's like you're watching Stardom because, again, there's no commentary. You're just. But anyway, as soon as commentary comes back into play, it's not like you miss a lot. Sometimes on my own commentary, people have called me a Marvanello when it comes to my passion for wrestling. So you take that as you will. It was weird, but again, as far as commentary goes, bring in Matt Striker. And I'm glad they fixed the issues because there are some times where Josh Matthews and Mastermind actually do add something to the match. But then most of the time they just take a jab at each other. Mastermind talks about how great she is. And I'm like, meh.
Exactly. Yeah, because I know a lot of people are like still have mixed opinions about Josh Matthews being a commentator, and that's all, and that's their opinion and all that stuff. But yeah. Alrighty. Yeah. So already, so let's go ahead and kick off for the opening match right here. You have it's like a rematch galore, which is the name of the episode. Simple rematch, of course. Because, like, this episode of Impact Wrestling is kind of like a rematch from Victory Road, Noah.
Yeah, it's an encore, basically.
Exactly. So, you have a rematch between Tommy Dreamer versus Brian Myers. And I feel that this match was pretty solid. I mean, a lot of, brawling into action outside. And then you have Brian Myers pick up a kendo stick trying to tease Tommy Dreamer to whack it, even though it's just a regular match. All in all, Tommy Dreamer got the kendo stick, but then again, it drops, whatnot, until Brian Myers kind of snapped, and then he hit Tommy Dreamer with a kendo stick so hard, match ends in a DQ. So, Noah, overall in this match, and compared to that in Victory Road, which match was better?
I got to go with this one because they're trying to add a new dynamic. That actually is Tommy Dreamer's dynamic. He said who he's finding at Victory Road was a sad old man. He wanted the hardcore legend. He got a bit of that tonight with the kendo stick after teasing it. But then he turns on Tommy Dreamer, uses it himself. I got to imagine Tommy Dreamer and Brian Myers are setting themselves up for a hardcore match. Maybe that will be some sort of exhibition at Bound for Glory. But this was okay because it moved the story and the rivalry forward in a different way.
Definitely, too. And we'll see, how this match is going to turn out. Probably we're going to be seeing kind of a kendo stick type match. I hope it's not a pole match because pole matches is not my favorite at all. And I feel like this is going to be setting up for what's going to happen at Bound for Glory in 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's a lot of endless possibilities. So we're going to be not seeing the last out of the rivals between Myers and Tommy Dreamer altogether. Mm-hmm. Anyway, guys. So let's go to move on. So we have a segment of the Wrestle House crew where Johnny Bravo is stressing about, the wedding is going to cost money. And out of nowhere, his best man, Fallah Bahh, where he can get the money. So he actually walked off. And then there's, a lot of, bickering going on between the Deaners and Johnny Swinger and Crazy Steve. And I know that one of the Deaners actually took shots fired to Johnny Swinger about the fanny pack with the gimmick table, which kind of like a shoot fire to independent wrestling because the gimmick tables is they're selling merch before, during, and after intermission.
Now so high sports.
Definitely. What are your overall thought on this segment?
I mean, every time I see a wedding segment, it reminds me of Wrestle House. It's funny, it's humorous, it makes me wonder what sort of crazy madness is going to ensue. And we learn what ensued later, as all he wants to try right now is afford a fountain for fondue.
Definitely. So it is going to be a lot. We're going to be seeing what's going on. So we're going to get into that later on. And then next up you have is Rohit Raju Open Challenge. And you thought it was for the X Division title, but he was playing mind games. Yeah, Roju with the usual promo, and then out comes Willie Mack. And I thought, great, we're going to be getting another rematch from Victory Road. But Roju was like, hold on, you had your chance. You're not getting the rematch. I'm looking for someone who is fresh face. And then out of nowhere, sirens and music hits, out comes Thick Mom Pump Jordan Grace, accepting to challenge against Rohit Raju. And honestly, thank freaking God, her feud against Tennille Dashwood is completely done. She can get the better opportunity, even though she got the L from Tennille at Victory Road, which thank God it ends it. But now she gets a title opportunity, you know what? And I'm happy about that. Which I feel this was a very confusing match. And then Roger taking his sweet time. And then Jordan Grace with the roll-up after a referee distraction from Willie Mack and Rohit Raju with the roll-up. And you thought that Jordan Grace is your new X Division champion. Raju was like, nope, this is not for the title. No, this is just a regular match. And still, Rohit Raju is your X Division champion. Noah, what are your thoughts of this mess altogether? Because I feel this is more of this match is kind of like a hot mess.
I don't think it was a match, it was more of a segment, because again, it just set up Bound for Glory, okay? First off, Willie Mack, great effort at Victory Road, came up in defeat. Rahit's like, you had your chance and want something new. Of all the people, I did not expect Jordan Grace. And then just the longest distraction way to get a simple roll-up with the slowest of getting prepared in the corner. And the fact that there was no commentary, I just hear Rahit's incredible, just hilarious commentary and bickering with the referee. This is my belt. I'll do whatever I want with this belt. And Willie Mack finally got the belt off him. Rahit tries to get the belt from Willie Mack, like, okay, and then let's go, roll up. I probably had a new champion. Nope, because again, the ref never held the title up, so technically it was not for the title. He's like, give me back my belt. And he's like, great match, you won, but you're not the champion, I still am. And then, of course, Scott D'Amore, he praises the man. He welcomes the fact he gives opportunities. So now he's going to allow him to really give everybody the ultimate in opportunity, as I'm sure we're going to briefly discuss. I thought this was actually pretty funny. This wasn't a match. This was the setup for our Bound for Glory X Division title match, which you and I thought the longest time was going to be Ultimate X.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, it is not that.
Yeah, like when Scott D'Amore delivers a very motivational appraisal to Rohit Raju, which Scott D'Amore did an amazing job doing this amazing motivational speaking. I was very blown away. He popped the question to Raju. He's going to be defending the title against TJP, Trey Miguel, Willie Mack, Jordan Grace, and Chris Bay in a 6-way scramble match. And honestly, it is going to be cool, but I wish it would have been the Ultimate X match. I mean, I would like to see it like a different style, especially Jordan Grace, which happens to be Jordan Grace, the second ever knockout to compete at the X Division title match. Remember, Noah?
That's correct. Yes, because the previous one we all saw was last year's Bound for Glory in a ladder match.
Yeah, definitely. And we all know who's that knockout, even though you still have that picture of her in the background. Yeah.
I haven't taken. Well, yeah, you think what you will. I haven't taken it down yet. I'm waiting for my Kenny Omega autograph.
Got it. Okay, good to know. All right, so that way the Bullet Cast, people who watch on the YouTube channel just want to make sure and whatnot. So
yeah, I know. Trust me, I'm well aware. Look, we talked about how wrestling has really changed during this COVID and what it exposed, but also what it has grown. I'm well aware of that. And apparently, her and Daga are supposed to be on a high sports thing, if not already.
Yeah. Anyway, let's just.
I don't judge. Moving on.
Yeah, let's move on here. So looking forward to this match altogether. And anyway, so next up on the match you have is a rematch again from Victory Road, Triple XL versus the Rascal. I feel that this match is just Triple XL trying to beat the living holy hell out of the Rascals.
Pretty much.
And, that even though, like, the Rascals give it their all. And at the end, the Rascal did the hot fire flame move and pick up the victory. So, Noah, question is to you again, just prior to the previous match. Is this match better than the one at Victory Road or just this?
It's just this. I prefer the one more at Victory Road because it felt like that for a while that Triple XL was going to win, and the Rascals were fighting from under, and they got the win in a very fought match. I really was impressed with Desmond's corkscrew splash up for the win on Larry D, who, might I add, was the same person that ate the fall here. Larry D now has been pinned by both Rascals, as Wentz off that movie said, pinned him clean. And this was much quicker because I feel like, again, Triple XL were super frustrated. They can't get out of the blocks, it seems. So I don't know what they go at this point. But, yeah, this was just why.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why altogether? Anyway, so let's going to move on. So you have the segment with Falaba. So after he confronted Hernandez for the money, of course, Hernandez did, push him up, scared him off, and that's when Falaba walked away. But unbeknownst to him, while Hernandez was taking a shower in the locker room, Falaba kind of like sneakily took the roll of cash and then walk off. So this is going to be pretty interesting with the feud between Hernandez and also Falaba, especially tie into this whole wedding together, which we're going to get into that in the next moment about one of the matches I'll be mentioning. And yeah, so anyway, you have is Jimmy Jacobs interviewing the doctor to check in the update of Rich Swann. How is he doing, preparing? And out of nowhere, Eric Young came by and started attacking Rich Swann and beating the holy hell out of him and trying to re-injure his ankle. Your thoughts, Noah?
Well, if he was 100%, now he's back to 80% if that's the case. Because, yeah, I was fearing that he was going to, drop away on his ankle. And, again, who could stop this maniac? You think you're safe? No, you're not. Coming out of nowhere in a mask, exercising caution and safety for COVID-19. But, yeah, he basically just, unleashed all pain and misery he could on Rich Swann, saying, "This is my world. I tried to warn you. I tried to keep you out of this. Why are you doing this to yourself?" While Rich Swann said he's ready, yeah, we'll see what happens next week now. Good grief almighty. This man can't be stopped or controlled, or apparently maintained.
Oh, totally, too. Just to get ready for the build-up for the main event match, we'll be seeing, how Rich is doing, especially for his health update, which is going to provide it next week altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as far as the money thing, if Hernandez finds out who it was, good luck with your health.
Oh,
and your arm.
Yep, indeed. All right, so let's move on. So next match you have is a tag match between Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary versus Tasha Steele and Kiera Hogan. Match ends in 9 minutes, which is a perfectly paced time. And that match was pretty stellar, too. A lot of offensive action, a lot of, brawling, even though the commentary on Twitch was out again, but hearing both teams kind of smack talking against each other, it was pretty hilarious to see at least. And then you have it's a backstage, Nevaeh and Havoc watching it on TV backstage, WWE style, which I like to call them WWE style.
No one knows how to watch TV anymore.
Exactly. So, yeah, I was very blown away with this match. And then at the end, you have Rosemary with the spear and then followed by her finisher, which I forgot the name of it. I know it's something about, funerals or whatever, something like that. And Rosemary and Taya did pick up the victory. So I was really impressed with this match. Your thoughts, Noah?
The Knockouts division is where Impact Wrestling, I feel like, thrives the most every week under so many dynamics, especially tag team. Bring the Knockout tag titles at Bound for Glory. Really good match. This kind of made me feel like it was a startup match without the commentary. I really enjoyed the trash talking among the four as Tasha Steele's Kiera Hogan carry this street-like mentality. They're the baddest, people in the ring. But Rosemary holds it all together, reminding Kiera Hogan of her past, shut up or I'll send you back to the undead realm. I'm not going back there. I'm not going back there. And that was really playing in Kiera Hogan's head throughout this match, too, especially when she's back in the ring with Rosemary. But, hey, it wasn't Kiera Hogan that hit the fall. It was Tasha Steele's. Really good match. And now Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie have taken care of each other's problems, respectively. But it looks like now they got to take on all of them next week, as you saw Nevaeh and Havoc watching on backstage. This is far from over.
Indeed. And then, like I mentioned it in the past, I feel like with the rivalry with those knockouts, we may be seeing a comeback of a particular tag team titles at Bound for Glory, as I've been vouching for a while. I think this is a perfect set up for like announcing like a couple days before Bound for Glory, hey, we're gonna put the title on the line. We're gonna be reintroducing the Knockout Tag Team titles.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is going to be a pretty interesting way too, especially curiosity about Rosemary and Johnny Bravo's wedding altogether.
Which will be after Bound for Glory, by the way. As Johnny Bravo says, it's like a month away. So I can only imagine what awaits us at this.
Exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so we have this next match: Crazy Steve and Johnny Swinger versus the Deaners. Not much to say. This is like mostly a gimmick type of match. I mean, at the end you have Cody Deaner with a low blow on Johnny Swinger, and then with the DDT to pick up the victory overall. Not much to say. Your thoughts?
I got nothing else to say. You summed up the match. The biggest thing I saw is a monkey can chug beer.
Exactly, and then silverware involved too. So, yeah. Anyway, so we're going to be moving on. So we did talk about the replay of what happened to Deonna Purrazzo versus Susie's match afterwards. And then you have Kylie Ray being interviewed by Gia Miller. And you could tell Kylie Ray was trying to keep her composure, but then deep down, she is so PO'd so much for what Deonna Purrazzo did to Susie until Kimberly came by and she kind of like mocking her, kind of make fun of her. And I know she did jab Susie, calling her Sue, and then C, like Sue. And then you see out of nowhere, Kylie snapped and beat the holy hell out of Kimberly. And when she's done, you could tell this is like her expression, like, is this what I've done? Like, are we going to be seeing like an alter ego from Kylie Ray instead of being Smiley Kylie, but something possessive or something? Like, what are your thoughts, Noah?
I've been saying it for a while. Kylie Ray is a future Knockouts champion. But if she's going to beat Deonna Purrazzo now, especially with the curator in her corner most likely, and she's going in this alone, she needs to unleash more aggression and a new side that Deonna Purrazzo doesn't expect. And I don't think she knows that she can do that until this moment. After, again, like you said, it was subtly bubbling over as they did acknowledge she watched it now twice. Watched her friend now have her arm broken twice. Kimberly adding embers to the fire, and Kylie Ray temporarily exploded, but then snapped back into that conscious, like, I don't want to be like this. I'm not like this. Oh my gosh, what have I done? I'm kind of curious as to what this goes, and I hope that she brings more of this towards Bound for Glory, because she's going to need all of this and more if she's going to beat Deonna Purrazzo. But honestly, I'm not surprised. I figured that she had this deep in her. We've seen subtle teases when her friend was being attacked previously, and Kylie Ray came out with an aggressive attack against Deonna Purrazzo, including kicking her in the face. This is just more of that subtle teasing of, don't just think Kylie Ray is all smiles, friendly, and to be taken lightly. There's something in her. It's just a matter she can unleash it. Kind of like Kota Ibushi in his fluke state.
Yeah. And seeing like a different side of Kylie Ray altogether, especially like, she is a really good in-ring competitor, but I feel like there is something more she can offer to, especially like a different side of her altogether too. So I'm very looking forward to what's going to happen. I know the match between her and Kimberly is going to be taking place next week, so we're going to be seeing all this curiosity that's going to take place together, and also what's going to be happening with Susie now that she's out with an injury. But we're going to be seeing full-fledged Sue Young. Who knows? Anyway, moving on here. So you have the negotiation between Heath and Scott D'Amore. Fortunately, Heath Slater did not get signed to Impact because he demands more of what he can offer. And I know he did shoot some shit about WWE and mentioning Monday Night Raw and Drew McIntyre altogether. Like, you thought that Heath Slater is going to get signed, but no. Scott D'Amore wants him to start from the beginning until he goes all the way up, and then he got upset and walked off. And, of course, he's upset at Rhino and then walked off. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, so much for hashtag Heat for Impact. That just all blew up because, again, the man wanted more than what Impact was offering him. He figured that he was entitled to that based on the fact that he came from the land of Titans. But Scott D'Amore's like, yeah, I remember that. I also remember you really making a lot while in catering and jobbing out. But again, here, we feel that you can make it to this, but we want you to start at this. They couldn't reach an agreement. Scott D'Amore tried to be patient and level with Heath. He refused to cooperate. Contract papers thrown in the air, and next thing you know, that's probably the last we'll see of Heath Slater in Impact Wrestling. It was a fun cameo appearance while it lasted. Tough break.
Definitely. I mean, it is a one shot because I know that like his cameo campaign did actually got trending on social media and it got shared too.
As I was saying, Lee also explained how Scott D'Amore basically, I brought you more viewership based on the fact I have been on Impact Wrestling. I deserve this. Well, not quite.
Exactly, But we'll be seeing what's going to be happening. Is this the last time we're going to be seeing Heath? Probably not. I mean, come on.
I'm sure Brown's going to find another way.
Exactly, especially negotiating a new contract too. All right, so let's move on here. So you have just like a brief like segment with EC3. I know Moose was like looking for him through the gym and the parking lot, nowhere to be found. The funeral, unfortunately, turns out EC3 dropped this classic TNA World Heavyweight Champion down to a bridge to control the narrative. What are your thoughts on it? Are we going to be seeing the old title back, or is it finito?
When I think of funeral, I think of death. When I think of death, I think of destruction. He didn't destroy it. He simply discarded it. There's no doubt in my mind right now that Moose is looking everywhere for that belt. From that screenshot alone, he'll fight a bear to probably get it back. That belt is not gone. It is simply misplaced in some dark forest, thrown off a bridge, probably stuck in a tree. We're going to see that title back, and probably we're going to see it destroyed once for all, bound for glory. This is clearly setting up EC3 versus Moose. This narrative is far from over. Free Moose, free EC3. Which way is this going? You tell me.
Oh, indeed. And speaking of narrative, EC3 is actually going to be making his debut on Ring of Honor, going against like everybody, especially companies and corporates and whatnot. So he is continuing on with the controlling of the narrative altogether. One thing to focus on Impact and then the next chapter altogether with Ring of Honor too. So this is very exciting what's going to lead into with EC3 and Moose, especially possibly for Bound for Glory. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the main event match you have is Motor City Machine Guns versus the team of Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. That was a pretty awesome main event match. A lot of heavy hitting action, especially MCMG trying to take down Madman Fulton, but with his size and his stature, man, that's got to be brutal, Noah.
I mean, it was smart, tagging both legs and then trying for a double team maneuver, which they did pull off at one point. But as far as the double suplex later on, it just didn't work. And of course, chaos ensued because, again, it's a preview of Bound for Glory. As your boys, the North, try to get involved, but the Good Brothers play the difference makers. They control and isolate Madman Fulton, and Ace Austin, he is defeated by, I believe, Alex Shelley basically countered him. And then the other one hit Madman Fulton with a splash for the win. So give the assist to the Good Brothers there, but again, who really has the momentum going into Bound for Glory? Nobody at this point. And by the way, I still think eliminated card paper cut has to be so much dang worse.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Card paper cut. That spot just sucks to look at.
Like when Ace Austin kind of sliced Alex Shelley between the fingers, and then you have Madman Fulton has the card getting ready to slice it, and then Ace Austin sneak it in from his sleeve. It's like, what in the hell is going on,
Well, he calls himself the Ace. You don't bet against an Ace, although someone else would disagree, and I would also disagree with both those men because there's only one Ace of pro wrestling, in my opinion. But regardless, yeah, it's an effective maneuver. It just was not enough to get it done here, even with all the crazy rep distractions and other teams coming out. Because again, all 8 of these men, they're going to beat the holy daylights out of each other Bound for Glory for the gold. But right now, Motor City Machine Guns got the most momentum and the biggest target.
That's right. And I feel like, it is going to be one of those things that these tag teams have to bring their A game, because right now, these tag teams are the perfect example for representing Impact Wrestling, even though we have other tag teams like Ring of Ska, Triple XL, the Deaners, the Rascals, so on and so forth. But I feel these 4 tag teams along is actually making the name for themselves in Impact, especially drawing into a lot of the audiences alike. I'm very excited what they're going to bring into the table for Bound for Glory, especially who's going to be the champion, or if Motor City Machine Gun's going to retain the title too.
And another thing to think about, one segment, again, recapping a Victory Road type thing, Ken Shamrock felt a little bit conscious about what he did at the Edwards. He felt that he shouldn't have did that. And then Sammy, of course, tries to realign him about social media. Ken don't care about that. Exactly. But Ken then basically wonders what Sammy's game here. And Sammy's like, I want the old Ken Shamrock. Other people want to see that old Ken Shamrock. Where is the most dangerous man? Next thing you know, Ken Shamrock goes into that mode and then attacks somebody. Pure Sammy's designation. So again, we'll see what's going on here.
Exactly. A lot of uncertainty and unanswered questions happening too. And all in all, I feel that with this episode of Impact Wrestling, this is kind of like a recap from Victory Road, like especially like matches that was on Victory Road, but then, you know, we have rematches that makes even more sense altogether, especially for people that does not tune into Victory Road who doesn't have Impact Plus altogether.
Exactly.
So next week on the match you have is the health update of Rich Swann. Then you have is the Knockouts Triple Threat match, Knockouts Tag Team Triple Threat match, which you have the team of Nevaeh and Havoc versus Tasha Steele and Kiera Hogan versus Taya Valkyrie and Rosemary. Then you have Kimberly versus Kylie Ray and Madman Fulton versus Luke Gallows. So that's going to be a real hoss fight right here.
A big man fight. Big fight feel right there.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead and rate this week's episode of Impact Wrestling. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs middle? Noah?
Well, let's see. It was the fallout of Victory Road. A couple of these matches were literally Control-C, Control-V. But I did enjoy the tag team main event. We're continuing to see where we might be going with Kylie Ray and what she might channel, maybe some Su Young-esque type stuff, towards her title match against Deonna Purrazzo at Bound for Glory. So the Heat Rush Shoot challenge I thought was a pretty hilarious segment. And everything else kind of just felt like a bit of filler, not even towards Bound for Glory, as again, a good portion of the show was more so thinking about how's the wedding going to outlook. So thinking about how I want to see how much more you progress and build towards Bound for Glory. Though you did define another match, I still enjoyed the show overall. I'm going to keep it fair because, again, it was at this point not really build. It felt like epilogue to a house show. I'm going to be fair again. I'm going to say 1.5. I didn't hate anything.
I'm going to have to agree with you as well. 1.5 as well. I mean, you have, like, you know, questionable matches. The segment was a bit questionable, too. And I feel that, like, the only thing that's kind of like a downer was the whole X Division situation. Like, if it's a match, if it's a segment, it kind of, like, threw me away altogether. But, like, with the rest of the fallout of what's going on, like, from Victory Road, especially leading up to a build-up for Bound for Glory, I feel it was really spot-on perfect. The whole funeral situation was confusing. I don't consider it as a funeral. It's just EC3 dropping the belt off the bridge. That's
We're going to see it next week. I guarantee you, we're going to see that belt next week, or Moose searching for it.
Exactly. And regarding with Jordan Grace, thank freaking God her feud with Tenille Dashwood is finito. Thank God. I'm just saying, y'all. That way Tenille can move on to a next feud. Maybe against Alicia Edwards, because I know Alicia Edwards is busy with the whole Russell House planning wedding type of BS, but I digress on it. But anyway, so with that being said, that is it for the episode of Into the Stratusphere. Noah, thank you so much for joining, and I would love to bring you back again. I know we're going to be doing like the predictions for Bound for Glory and also the recap as well. A lot going on. And yeah, so Noah, where can our listener follow you on social media?
This is actually a pleasure, Cindy. I have no problem doing this game and support you. And just trust me, ladies and gentlemen, my Kenny Omega High Spots autograph that I got during live should be here soon. You won't see that picture again. Oh, wait, this is opposite mirror. You get the idea. Anyway, if you want to know more about me and follow me, know this. I'm just a simple man and a lifelong fan of ... wrestling. You can find me on Instagram, on PlayStation, on Twitter, at Mfoster9016. The Sybil YouTube channel is youtube.com/C/MoFoster210 for all things wrestling. And Twitch name, Mfoster901625. Stay tuned for more Crash Bandicoot gameplay this weekend. And Fall Guys. We'll see if I get the crown or I fail. And as always, people, just support your wrestling outlets big and small. And let's keep growing this incredible, diverse, unique, elite, authentic, unscripted, unrestricted wrestling community together. Simple as that. Cindy, this was an absolute blast. Thank you.
You're welcome, Noah. And also, you guys can follow me on Twitter, on Instagram, and on my YouTube channel at simply_C_OK. That's SIMPLY_C_OK. And make sure to follow the Bulletcast on social media on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and subscribe to this YouTube channel at the Bulletcast. And make sure to follow any other podcasting platform, whether it's on Anchor FM, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and wherever you guys can find. And also wanted to throw in, follow nodq.com. That's where me and Noah are part of like kind of like a team, like a street team type of deal, but also a contributor too. Follow on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter at NoDQ, DOTCOM. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at Aaron Riff NoDQ, and also follow NoDQ.com, the website for all the wrestling news and all that stuff. Anyway, guys, with that being said, just please remember to wash your hands 20 to 30 seconds. Please practice social distancing. Wear a face mask or any type of face covering. No excuses, please, all right? And just remember to please be kind to one another. We're all in this together. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode of Into the Stratusphere. Cheers, y'all.